All right. Hello and welcome once again to White Lotus of Light conversational series. And I cannot tell you how excited I am for today's guest. Prashant Trivedi is, in my opinion, he may not agree with this, but in my opinion, he's on the very short list of greatest living Jyotishis or Vedic astrologers. He's certainly among the best of people who are published. There's probably someone who's 80 years old in India hidden away someplace who maybe is better, but Prashant is on the very short list of the very best Vedic astrologers on earth. Absolutely mind-blowing. And I was talking off camera with Prashant, and he goes by Prash Trivedi in his Vedic astrology materials. It's just a shortening of his name. He has written two books that I think are just absolutely phenomenal, best in class on the subject of Rahu and Ketu, and one on the 27 nakshatras or lunar mansions that I think are just absolutely incredible, and I haven't found better. And in particular, I really have looked a lot into Rahu and Ketu because I'm about to go into my Rahu Mahadasha, and the nodes are notoriously kind of mysterious. And so I bought tons of books on it. And Prashant's book, Rahu and Ketu, which I have right here, the Rahu and Ketu experience, everything you wanted to know about Rahu and Ketu, I think is the best book, at least that I'm aware about there. And then same thing with his book on the nakshatras. I have an older copy. I think it's changed to 27 Celestial Porters now. But the Book of Nakshatra is a comprehensive treatise on the 27 constellations by Prashant Trivedi. Absolutely stellar works, and most of my best advanced work has been based on Prashant's work, and with maybe some slight tweaks based on my interpretation. He also is, I think it's fair to say, a researcher or occultist or esoteric wisdom holder, and he has this amazing series of quotes on his website that I've been referring to for like at least 15, maybe 20 years. When I first found his work, probably about 15-ish years ago, maybe as many as 17, I found his website and found this list of conspiratorial quotes. And it's astonishing. It's amazing. And so I consider Prashant just an expert in what, as a Vedic astrologer, I call eighth house matters. And so, Prashant, how are you doing today, good sir?
I'm fine with the PHI, fine. Oh, and that's you've given me so much of an intro that now I have to really watch. It's put pressure on me, like what I speak now, like every, every word I speak now. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
I'm sorry for that.
yeah,
I put a lot
yeah,
of pressure on Prashant, but yeah,
yeah.
he is just I hold him in super high esteem because I've been following his work for forever, and his social media, and actually I want to say this right at the beginning, his social media agent actually reached out to me, and I couldn't believe it because it had never even occurred to me that I could get Prashant on my show because in my mind, he's this super elevated figure in the world of Vedic astrology. And I just was like, oh, it just didn't even occur to me to try to get him on the show because I thought he would be unreachable or difficult to find. And instead, thank you, Angels. His social media coordinator reached out to me. And one of the things they requested, and I'm going to honor this, and this is very unusual, I won't do it for anything else, but his social media person has asked that there be no comments below this video, just to turn commenting off. And it's in part because one of the things I like about Prashant is that he's a bit of an iconoclast. He is like me. He seeks truth wherever it takes him, and we might have slightly different versions of what we find to be true, but he's very honorable in that way. And in Prashant's culture, in India, especially studying any of the Vedic sciences, there's a very strong culture of nothing changes, everything's exactly as written. You don't mix this teaching with that teaching. And Prashant doesn't care. he looks for truth, and so he'll mix teachings. He'll even mix Vedic astrology with certain Western techniques, and he's borderline unique. And so he's a controversial figure in the
Yes,
Vedic
that's the word, right?
world. What?
That's the word. Controversial is the word, right?
Yeah.
These days, that's the word they use. Yes.
I find him to be absolutely incredible in terms of the way that he explores reality in this way, and he's a very interesting mix of having a deep knowledge of these traditional sciences, but also being willing to go, this attaches to this, and let's connect them together. And for example, you wrote this book on the nakshatras, and are you of the opinion that the nakshatra system used to be its own separate branch of astrology, the way that there's like the Brihat Parashara or Shastra is the main book of Vedic astrology that most people use, and then there's the Jaimini system, which is separate. You say the nakshatra system is also separate, or
Now, the thing is, with the Parashara system, like Parashara Rishi actually mentions nakshatras in the version we have now. So he mentions the 27 nakshatras, but the information on it is not available right now. The Parashara Rishi would have had that information, and he must have told his students at that time. But because of time, that particular information got lost. So it was definitely part and parcel, obviously, because when they have the concept of Navamsha, and things like that, which is basically taking it to nakshatra only, and then the padas, nakshatra padas, so like 3 degree 20 minutes. Once you have a sign of 30 degrees and you're breaking things down into 9 parts of 3 degrees 20 minutes, which is 1 nakshatra pada. So you're basically getting into the nakshatra system anyways, even by Parashar. So it was always there from the beginning. It was never a disconnected thing, but just a lot of information on it was not easily available or accessible. So if we have had to like basically come up with it again, in the modern times, like, so that's just unearthing it back or collating it back in.
So did you find like various different sources about the nakshatras when you wrote your book? Because your book is
there is a thing called muhurat in Vedic astrology, like where like the moment of time when you have to sort of find the right time for different things, right time for planting, right time for having this, doing that. It's called, so that's where nakshatras were used more, still in a common parlance of Jyotish. So from there you can glean some characteristics. But after that, I had to actually go by the moon. Every day moon travels through one nakshatra, 24 hours. Okay, so whenever moon goes through that nakshatra, you can see different patterns emerging. Wow. So then it became more an observational situation. So the moon cycle on nakshatras was a great help.
Yeah.
In figuring out what is the energy of each nakshatra and how they function, and plus the Murut system, which was having some characteristics, like which are the fixed nakshatras. So you do fixed things on Uttara Falguni because it's a fixed things. You start fixed things. If you have to make a building, you want to start something long term, you start on that nakshatra. But so in Muhurat is very important. So the Panchang, there are 5 parts of the the time system in Vedic astrology, and nakshatra was always one of them, like very strongly. So there's some like tidbits of information from that, plus your own observation and then application in charts. So
that makes
those 3
the book even more insane to me, because
those 3
book on the nakshatras is so deep. I mean, this is for extremely, in my opinion, very advanced. I think it's incredibly important, but very advanced Vedic astrology students, because the level of complexity it adds is extraordinary, but the level of accuracy it adds is also extraordinary.
Yes. Yes. It has to work, like,
yeah.
Like the thing was, it should work. Like it's applied science. So when you apply it, like it should work. That was the main that thing.
Welcome to the Introduction to Vedic Astrology course, where timeless wisdom blends with contemporary insights. Are you curious about the mysteries of the cosmos? and how they influence our daily lives? Do you want to uncover the secrets of your destiny through the ancient art of Vedic astrology? Join us on this enlightening journey. Our comprehensive 8-week course is designed specifically for beginners. Join a supportive community of like-minded individuals, all eager to explore and learn together. You'll dive deep into the key concepts and principles of Vedic astrology, from understanding the zodiac signs and planetary positions to interpreting birth charts. This course offers a hands-on approach to learning. Discover the profound insights Vedic astrology can provide into your personality, relationships, career, and more. By the end of this course, you'll have a solid foundation in Vedic astrology and the skills to interpret astrological birth charts with confidence. Embark on your journey into the stars today. Sign up for the Introduction to Vedic Astrology course and unlock the secrets of the universe through astrology. Visit our website to learn more and enroll today. Your journey to self-discovery begins here. Yeah. Well, so we're going to maybe loop back around to astrology at the end, but I actually wanted to talk to you about some other esoteric concepts. So, of course, the name of this channel is White Lotus of Light. It's actually, I named it after my firstborn son. And the reason I got into Vedic astrology is my ex-wife and my son's mother. She went to the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi School of the Age of Enlightenment. Very long title. There in Fairfield, Iowa, and that was the Beatles guru, sometimes called the Giggling Guru, who is also a very controversial figure, both in India and the West. But he brought all the Vedic sciences like Ayurveda. Is it Vashtupad? Is the like organizational one like geomancy or feng shui? Is it Vashtupad? Right? Is basically
Vastu, yeah.
And Sanskrit and transcendental meditation, and then they taught Vedic astrology at kind of like a low level. And so I was very into Western astrology since the 90s. And when I met my ex-wife there in around 2005 or 2006, she told me about Vedic astrology, and I was very opposed to it because I moved from what I thought was a cool Aries with Libra rising to what I thought was a less cool Pisces with the part that hurt me was Virgo rising. Because my family, I have a lot of Virgos in my family and we don't get along so well. And so I was like, no. And so at first I was very resistant to it. And then we went to Fairfield, Iowa. And I actually started to read a book on it. And all of a sudden it just boom. And I think maybe past life in India, something like that. But anyways, because of that, I was looking at Sanskrit names for my son, and his name is Kairavan, which means a kind of white lotus that's born in water and blooms at night. And he was born at night in a water birth. And I found his name after he was born, and I was like, wow, that's the name. And so this channel is named after that. And Prashant, did you want to share some of the depth of the spiritual meaning of the symbol of the lotus?
Okay. So when we to understand that, like in the Western world, people should refer to sacred geometry first. Okay, now sacred geometry has a lot of different, flower of life is there. There are different things, there are different platonic solids, So if you, then you understand 2D shapes and 3D shapes, and then lotus is a shape, basically, energetic shape, basically, So it's an organizational shape. Like, for example, the same lotuses are like what are called chakras in the human body. They're considered the 7 lotuses. They're shown as lotuses. Now, Brahma is seen, the creator is seen on top of lotus, because it's basically referring to an energetic organizational shape which allows nesting and embedding of waves, basically.
Wow.
Okay. So there's a icosa dodeca nesting between the platonic solids, like one, like dodeca on icosa, then dodeca, then icosa, it keeps on going forever like that. It nests, So that way, the lotus shape, the way the petals come out, and the way the thing is, it's basically like a 3D representation of energies, how the waves meet each other. So like, there are wave nodes in our body. There are 2 systems, left and right, the channels are going and they are creating these conjunctions. And wherever the conjunctions happen, this shape automatically comes in. Automatically. So it's like a blueprint of the universe.
Wow.
How universe is made in terms of energetics. The energetics which we can't see. Because human eyes can't see most of the energetics, even what is around you, like whatever. If you look at a tree, there are a lot of things happening around a tree energetically, but human eyes can't see that, So, so there is, it refers to that shape, which is very important in the universe in terms of creation. So that's because creation is basically different waves sort of merging with each other in different ways to create different things. So it's wave dynamics. And so it's like an optimal wave dynamic shape, like lotus. Like if I want to put it in a scientific lingo, like that's okay. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
So so for you, you're saying that the hidden meaning of the lotus then is that it is a shape that occurs when there's different energetic waves meeting, and also within that there's nested potentialities. Would you say?
potentiality through which you can create other things.
Ah.
Yeah. So like if the waves nest in that way, now they are ready for creation. Okay, now things can be produced. Like, you have reached in harmony.
Yeah.
In order to, like, everything which produces something needs to reach in harmony, whether it's a seed or anything within itself, So,
Beautiful.
that's the, yeah.
So so another question that I had for you, Prashant, and I have kind of like, it'll seem like I'm asking random questions. They're based on a conversation I had with a social media manager, and then some things that I also wanted to discuss. And so, Prashant, what's your view on what magic, or magic with MIGIC, or with a K on the end? What is your view on what that is and how it functions?
Magic. Okay. First, my first view of magic is this, that everything is magic.
Yeah.
Because the whole creation is magic. Okay.
Yeah.
Like the whole creation is magic because something has come up and all of this has happened. So
Yeah.
that is the first magic, like they say, the root magic. Okay. Now, how people understand this word right now in the current age is more like things which they don't know. Okay. So when you don't know something about universe, has all kinds of things, like all kinds of knowledges. Now you don't know something. And whenever that thing which you don't know acts, that is magic. It's because you don't know how that happened, right? For example, if some people are in a tribe right now, anywhere in like South America, and they've never seen a telephone before, and and if they're able to talk like 5 miles from each other in the jungle using a device, now that device is magic to them because they don't know the principles which operate that device and how is that device functioning, right? So there's this sense of magic, okay, which is dealing with the unknown aspects of knowledge of the universe. And there is the bigger magic, which is like the whole creation, which is called divine magic. Let's just call it divine magic. Okay, like there's something which created everything, that creation, and then how it sort of sustains itself. That creation, that's also magic, So there is a lot of, and in the word magic itself is like ma is matter, G is the gravity, not the gravity which they teach in school, but another kind of gravity, and I is representing energy, basically. So
What? Sorry.
Energy, like
Ah.
Shakti. Shakti is the term in Sanskrit. All of that E is that I, the energy. So E is always energy, and that I is representing it. So it's energy, gravity, matter. Okay, which is all what you have around you, basically. So so the different manipulations of it, the different combinations of it create different effects, which are all magic, right? So, right.
So
That's
would you say then that well, I got two follow-up questions to that. One is that some people say that technology, applied technology, is just having discovered fundamental principles of the divine magic, if you will, or the divine creation, and then applying them in a way that you get a consistent effect, as
yes,
opposed to magic before technology became kind of like the dominant form of magic. It would very often act as in ritual or whatever means of harnessing the so-called hermetic principles and
mm,
manipulating these hidden energies that are outside of the electromagnetic spectrum, the very tiny amount of it that we can
mm,
visually see. And you would
yeah,
use certain things and use correspondence and use you would use the universal principle of mentalism, and then you would combine these all together and do
right,
something, and then there would be an effect that would happen later.
right,
You see those as
right.
you see these as two as the same thing, just one has harnessed it in a different way, or do you see them as separate in some way?
First, nothing is separate actually at all. The thing is that principles are there, okay,
Mhm.
and then once you come to know a principle, you can apply it. And even the older principles, when they used to do the yagnas and the yagyas and things like that, they were also repeatable as much as machines are, you know. And as sometimes machines have a flaw, sometimes they could have flaw sometimes, because machines also, they call the ghost in the machine. They work sometimes, it doesn't, like, you can't tell why, you know, and the same way those things were also repeatable, and and they mostly worked, so that's so it's not like it was different. It was just the approach is different, you know. So
Can I ask you a question? You
so,
said
like, for example, I see also the human body as a technology, basically. Even human body is like a machine. It's a machine. It's a technology. It's a machine. Okay. It's an organic machine, but it's a machine. Okay. So, I mean, you can use that technology to do different things, you know. So instead of the machines which we have now, which are lesser machines, all the machines on Earth are lesser machines than the human body.
yeah.
All of them. So like using this technology also, you can do different things, but that's not what people have gone into the last 300, 400 years. So direction has been different. It is to make other smaller machines outside to do different tasks, so that's just a different approach, really. That's all, you know.
So,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I heard something right. You're
Mm.
saying that in the past that there was ritual magic done that was consistent. Is that what you said? Because
Yes, yes, completely consistent. Yeah,
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 and so
yeah.
okay, very interesting. And I'm I do angelic magic and commune with the angels, and we talked a bit about off camera when we were talking. We talked about the different
Mhm.
realms, like what in the West is called the lower astral, or what in the West is called the higher astral, the angelic.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so I'm actually currently going to be teaching a class for anyone who's interested on July 11th for Angelic Magic. And so if you're interested in exploring some of these principles that Prash and I are talking about, then you can go to my website and sign up there. But Prash, can you explain what the Sanskrit term for the lower astral, as it's called in the West? What's the term again?
Okay. Okay, it's Patal. Patala, Patal Lok.
Patal.
Okay. So in England, in English, what happens is that every time they add a to everything, they like to add a A. So Patal becomes Patala, like Lok becomes Loka. It's Lok, L-O-K. So the A is just, it's not, it's P-A-T-A-L. You can call it P-A-T-A-A-L. So Patal, you know. So that's the realm. So there are 7 realms below us, according to Vedic, and 7 realms above us. So Earth is in the middle, right? In the center plane. So there are a lot of lower astrals, not just one.
Yeah.
And from the Western language, and a lot of higher astrals, not just one. So that is the Vedic concept in terms of the universe, like of the universe.
And so what's the name of the higher celestial realm?
It's called Swarg. Swarg.
How do you spell that?
It's like Swarg.
Huh. And then that's where the devas, which seem to be
Devas. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
equivalent of the angels. Yeah.
Yeah, which means Swa means self, self-sustaining fire. In English, it will be considered like self-sustaining fire. Like everything is self-sustains out there. your body does not need food out there. So, so it's a different kind of body which doesn't require food. Like on Earth, the bodies require food. Like out there, the bodies don't. Okay, so it's a different scene completely
Mm,
than Earth plane. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. And so, since we're talking about what in the West, and I refer to on this channel as the lower astral and the higher astral, um, we talked a bit off camera about this concept of divine celestial weapons and how, from one point of view, they would look as this liberating force, and as from another point of view, it'd be looked at as a weapon. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. Yeah. When it comes to like the celestial things, celestial means it's higher. We're talking about something higher. Okay. We're talking about the higher planes. Okay. Now, the beings out there, they are not like fighting kind, right? Like, okay, they're not that type. Okay. So if they are using a weapon,
Uh,
okay, it is for correction.
yeah.
Okay. They're looking for some sort of correction rather than some sort of problem for someone. Like, so if something has been modified and the energetics have gone wrong, you aim your instrument at that and correct those energies. Okay. So that's one correctional. Another thing is like if there are beings from lower which are creating too much chaos, and then you put a stop to them, like so which is like freezing them, like freeze frame, like like you just stop their activities. Okay, now to the beings whose activities have been stopped, they will say that's a weapon. Like it's something bad is happening to us. We have been stopped at that, dead in our tracks. From the higher point of view, that is like just maintaining creation. If they're not stopped, the situation will get totally out of control. So there is a different, for example, in the sky when you see lightning, like that is called, like in the weapon of the Indra, it was called the thunderbolt. you know the, so so that is a visible thing which human eyes can see, the lightning and stuff, like, so if lightning starts happening more, around the world, people know that the devas are angry. That means they are, it's a wrath coming from there. But there are energetics beyond the visible part of the lightning which are at play with the the celestial weapons are basically more about tuning things and bringing them back to their original state when they have been, changed from that. So that's what I would consider. And like, for example, Vishnu, the preserver, has a time wheel as a weapon. It's called Sudarshan Chakra, Sudarshan. Okay, now that is a time wheel. Now, time obviously sets a lot of things right when used in a certain way, you know. So like even the stars moving all around, which is astronomy and astrology, is just basically movement of stars. It's a concept of time. That's what defines time, how stars move. That's the only way for us to know the movement of sun, moon, stars. That's all time is for us, right? On Earth, basically. And utilizing those positions, astrological positions, for different things becomes a weapon
Mm.
to
Hmm.
set things right.
Mm.
So, so,
Well, that's a perfect segue into yugas, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But I do want
yeah,
to do a slight follow up on that, and that is that for a lot of people watch this channel, some of these concepts, I'm very familiar with Vedic concepts from a Western point of view. But a lot of people on this channel still are like kind of learning about things like karma and reincarnation. And I explained to
yeah,
people that if you consider the original definition of the word sin means missing the mark, it doesn't mean that you had sex outside of marriage or whatever.
yeah,
Sometimes certain institutions have said that that is sin, right? But
yeah,
it just means the missing of the mark, which also means that you've gone off course. You're no longer
yeah,
on the correct course. You're now sinning. You're missing the mark. And
yeah,
that then creates karma to help you over the course of incarnations to move back onto course over time,
yes,
like you're saying.
yeah,
And
yes,
so, um, karma, people want karma to be instant, which does happen, but that's fairly rare. Usually
Yes,
karma takes place over the course of a long human lifetime,
lifetimes.
or likely many lifetimes. Exactly.
Yes, yes.
And so these celestial weapons, you could say, are helping get people who have gone off course back onto the correct path of where they were as a soul coming from source before they started having all the conditioning of the Kali Yuga and negative
And
experience. So forth.
and more importantly than people getting the earth back on course, because earth has a problem right now. The earth itself has issues. The being called earth, the plane, the whole thing has, so correction of that is most important first in order to life to progress further, because the plane has to exist and move forward, and otherwise humans have no place out here on earth. If the earth is going to be in jeopardy, then there's no question of life on earth. So
Well,
that
that
is the
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so that's the level which the celestials work on. Okay, they're caring about the earth. Okay, like, we have to get the earth plane. If it's getting too out of balance, then balance has to be brought in. Like otherwise life will not move forward. So even for spirits tend to take human birth requires a functioning earth, and the humans who are on earth require a basic understanding of what it is to be a human on earth, and what are the boundaries and what are the conditions for that. So that is all the education which we'll talk about later when you bring up this Kali Yuga thing. So
Yeah.
it leads into that basically.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
perfect segue to it. So,
yeah.
I talk a lot on this channel about the Yuga cycles because I think they're phenomenally important for people to understand in order to understand sort of the dominant consciousness of people on planet Earth right now. And so, can you talk about the meaning of the Yuga cycles, and in particular the Kali Yuga, and then
Okay.
when you think
Yeah,
Kali Yuga is ending? Go ahead.
yeah. So the thing is that I would like to stay in the present. Let's not go into what cycles have happened in the past. Like I would just say, like that this is Kali Yuga right now. When we say Kali Yuga, it means Kali sort of means darkness. Okay. Now darkness signifies ignorance for human beings, basically. In terms of human beings, what darkness means is just ignorance, basically. So when you don't know, basically, what are you doing here? What is your purpose? What are you doing here on earth? Like this whole basic questions, like are not answered by your education. You're confused completely about these basic things. That's when beings are in that state, that's called Kali Yuga.
Mhm.
Basically, age of ignorance, which means age of no proper education, basically.
Mhm.
So right now we have schools and all these universities on earth, but they're not educating anything. So that's the thing which I call Kali Yuga. That's the one thing. So end of Kali Yuga, in my view, would be when people know all these basics and everyone knows this and it's common knowledge and everyone knows that Kali Yuga is ended. it's as simple as that from my point of view, what I make of these terms. So yeah. So
So I know that you back in the 90s you had said off camera that you went and spent time with the Hopis, and you came up with kind of two 20-year cycles from 2000
yeah.
to 2020 and then 2020 to 2040. Do you want
Mm.
to talk about those cycles and your experience with the Hopi?
Yes. Yeah, see, when I met Hopi, that was 1998. Okay, so and the all the Hopis and the other native tribes all were talking about the end times, that we are in the change of era, age. We are a change of an era, we are change of an age. Some call it the fourth age to the fifth age. They were different. So when I met the Hopi elders, also they were very clear that this is happening. So then from my intuition and whatever I picked up from what is happening, if you take it Vedic astrology, if you take Native American things, if you take everything and my own intuition on top of it, I came up with this thing that there is a 20-year like a period of from 2000 to 2020 of like the learning, the initial phase, where people are given opportunity of learning through a instrument called internet.
Mm.
And internet was the starting point at 98. It was just in the beginning
Yeah.
stages in 2000. Like so, from 2000 to 2020 has been this proliferation of information and knowledge. which humans have not had access to for last 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, even 1,000 years. This kind of, even a common person right now has a mobile and they can watch this thing. Every person on earth has one to log into and do this and get this kind of, which has never been possible before. So there has been awareness from the complete ignorance. People are getting to know some things. Okay, 20-year phase. 20-year phase was supposed to, that everything should be known actually. So all the information and data is there on the internet, but whether people can reach it or not, that's up to them. It's their personal choice, what they choose to go and watch and how they spend their time on this internet. So, that's the first stage. And then 20-year period of 2020 to 2040, I call is like where things are gonna happen, where it takes the choice out of it. Like, things gonna happen anyways, and you're gonna have to face the reality. 2020 to 2020 is like, it's your choice, whether you want the information, whether you want to learn, whether you want to, not be ignorant anymore by your own free will, your own free choice. Okay. Then 2020 to 2040 is a period where it just comes at you, the whole thing. And you're sort of forced, you can't hide anymore in the darkness. Even if you're in a dark corner of the room, the torch will come at you, like, so it is that kind of a period. So this is what I consider the two transition periods. And this is my own thing, I mean, other people might agree, disagree, I mean, that's up to them on that, but this is just my personal view of this, these current times. That's, yeah.
Does it link at all, in your opinion, to, I know that the time is a bit off, it's 27-ish years versus, or 27 to 29 years versus 20 years, but every 20 years, if I remember correctly, Jupiter and Saturn come together every 20 years, right? And we just had that at the very tail end of 2020, actually, the Jupiter and Saturn coming together.
It has a lot to, I even did a talk in the Theosophical Society in London in 2019, just before this next 20-year cycle was about to begin. And obviously it has something to do with that, those cycles, the 20-year cycles. But these cycles are more important than other cycles. These 20-year cycles have been happening in the past also.
Right.
But these ones are more special because there are some other events happening which are not happening. The conjunctions, different kind of conjunctions, different kind of eclipses, different kind of lunar calendar things which have not happened before for long periods of time. So there is a lot of, which becomes very complicated and advanced to tell right now. But like, if I've just created a sigma function, like sum total of all that information and given this timeline, so basically using everything, and obviously that 20-year cycle has something to do with it. Yes.
And so are you of the opinion that during this 2020 to 2040 era that the Kali Yuga will come to an end? Do you think it's a destined thing, or do you think it's something that where it's going to take a lot of effort and it could maybe not end? Or do you think,
I mean, the thing is, the whole thing will be known, basically, the basic knowledge. So the darkness which was there will be replaced by the light of knowledge, and which is already happening, which is already there. Now it's a question of whether it can get to how many people. That's all is remaining right now. Okay, so that's a process which is going to fasten up and happen by that time. And if someone is like doesn't want to see at all deliberately, then obviously their life becomes tougher when things happen in that direction. Like the more you refuse to see, the more difficult it becomes for you to exist on earth in those kind of times. So yeah.
Interesting. And so you I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you saying that you tend to think that sometime during this period of 2020 to 2040, the Kali Yuga will end because it will be impossible for people to remain in ignorance?
Yes, pretty much. Like, to me, Kali Yuga is already ended in terms of the information is already out there. Whatever can illuminate people about life on Earth and the different, what is Earth and what are the different planes and what are the things and everything is there, what is human life and everything. But it's just like, it's not reached mass level, obviously, it's underground, and internet underground. There's there's a mainstream in the web, and there is a but like, as you know, in 2020, when this particular thing happened and people were stuck indoors for a year or two, it forced them to research more, and a lot of truths came out, and a lot of things, people's minds got opened, and so it is happening for different people now, this thing. And when obviously the things are known, and education is there, Kali Yuga is ended. The age of ignorance ends there. So we are definitely on the precipice of that.
Excellent. So I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a question about 2024 in just a moment, but do you
Yeah.
see then the forces of evil that I call, I explained this to you, that I use this concept on this channel, or the angels gave me this concept of Malachian, Luciferian, and Most High consciousness, and
Yeah.
that Malachian consciousness seems to be related to the Patal Lok beings, that lower astral beings,
Mhm.
right? And in the Western system, in the Qliphoth, which is the tree of death, the reverse of the Kabbalah, the tree of life, the inverse
Yes.
of that is the
Mm.
Qliphoth, and at the bottom of that is Moloch, or satanic consciousness. And
Yes.
do you see? I'm of the opinion that that consciousness has been dominating the planet basically for both the Kali Yugas, the past 6,000 years. But I'm also of the
Yes.
opinion, and have been
Yeah.
given gnosis from the angels, that that group's grip on power is falling apart. Is that something that you would agree with? And it's okay if you don't. I'm just curious.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, like the grip on power they have
Mhm.
is through what means? It's through ignorance only, keeping humans ignorant, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so no, now if human beings don't stay ignorant anymore,
Mhm.
then the grip is over, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. Like it is. So that rule is by ignorance. Like not giving humans a proper education system,
Mhm.
giving them a fake education system which doesn't teach them anything. So you go to 12 years of school, then 4 years of uni, 16 years, and you are no better off than at the age of 5 in terms of understanding this universe or understanding human life or anything. So it's like waste of 16 years of human life without them learning anything. But now even a 7-year-old can go online and listen to different podcasts and different things and get all kinds of information more than a 100-year-old person who had read thousands of books
Mhm.
in earlier times could do. And many people had access to thousands of books. It was only people with a lot of money and that thing who could have all those books and stuff, like in even 100 years ago. Like, I mean, who had access to that kind of thing? So right now a 7-year-old kid has more access
Mhm.
than the richest person in 19th century.
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
in terms in terms of knowledge, information, and all kinds of things. you
Yeah.
know so I mean, the things are moving in that direction anyways. And I mean, as like, that's why a lot of people call them conspiracies and things like that. They make up words and terms. Whenever truth comes out, it's called conspiracy, like about something fake which they have been teaching in the education system.
Yeah.
So all of those things have been torn apart now.
Yeah.
Everything which they're like, and all of that information is out. It's up to the people to see it. And as more time passes, people will see it,
Mm.
because things will get like that on Earth, that you will have to see basically what's there for real, the reality, not the fake narrative. you know
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that. The angels have told me that there's and I'm just curious because I didn't tell you this yet, but I'm just curious what you think about it. The angels have been talking to me for a while now about something they call the bottleneck event. And they said that we're moving towards this point in time where, for some period of time, and they haven't revealed to me how long, but they've said for some period of time, there'll be a series of events or a singular event. I'm not clear on that even. I'm not
Yeah.
sure whether this lasts minutes or hours or days or weeks or months or even years, right? I don't think it would last
Yes.
many years. It would last maybe a few years tops. But
Yes. Yes.
basically, where external events will be completely predetermined. There's no stopping those events that will unfold. And what will be left then, for free will be the individual's response to those events. And
Yes.
there's some spiritual teachers who say, like Ramana Maharshi, I think, has said more or less that that's how things always are. But I think
Yeah.
things will become much more impossible to ignore. Like you're saying, you can't
Yes.
ignore it, that people will come to this series of events that will happen, these destined events, and that
Yes.
those events are unstoppable, and that people's response to those events internally is what matters the most. What are
Yes.
your thoughts
Yes.
on that?
Yeah. So the thing is, 20 years, like I said, from 2000 to 2020 was without external events. It was free choice, whether you want it or not, whether you want to look for the information, when you seek the answers or not,
Mhm,
whether you want to finish the confusion for yourself, whether you want to end the darkness for yourself.
mhm,
That was a free choice, free will. It was not like external things were not forcing you
mhm,
to, that bottleneck was not happening. So 2020 2040 is, as a whole bottleneck even for me, like from my point of view. So within that bottleneck, there'll be like something, obviously will be more higher pressure,
yeah.
like a singularity,
Mm,
which will be, people will be of earth will be confronted with, you know, and then you will have to make a choice. And that choice will be clear, like which side are you choosing, darkness, confusion, or you're choosing reality and facts and light, you know. So that is, each spirit will have to choose basically
that
which the direction
that's so
they're gonna.
interesting, because the angels have told me that for
Yeah,
people who sort of choose ignorance and darkness, which is a fair amount of people who are currently incarnated, that some
yeah.
people are here to begin their journey in the Kali Yuga. Because do you agree that reincarnation is not linear? What I mean is,
No.
I could reincarnate potentially. I won't, but an individual could reincarnate, could have a life now, and then reincarnate in the 1400s. Would you agree with that? That the
No,
reincarnation?
I mean, you don't go back exactly. But what I'm saying is you can reincarnate in another Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're resonating with that energy, you'll reincarnate there.
Yes.
And you can obviously reincarnate in lower realms as well, Patal and stuff. You can go there.
Yep.
And then when that kind of situations happen again on Earth, you can reincarnate on Earth again at that time. But it's all like, so it's not linear exactly, but it is definitely multi-level,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's
So,
so interesting. I
yeah,
love those kind of
yeah,
secondary confirmations.
yeah.
Okay, so I have heard you talk about 2024 and the meaning of it. Did you want to can you talk a little bit about what 2024 means on the macro, in terms of macro events, but also in terms of the individual?
Yeah, 2024 is fun in that way because it's two becoming four, right?
Yeah.
Two multiplied by two becoming four and multiply. It's that kind of energy, right? Like, so I call it a doubling year. Doubling in the sense of like amount of people who are gonna get more, like in that way towards the light, double.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then the natural disasters and things which are happening when the earth is responding in this kind of way, they're also going to double.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the technological aspect like AI and things, the progress in that is also going to double. You know, so like so many things are doubling. Like conflicts on like a political this kind of thing doubling, financial situations getting, having problems financially around the different financial problems and stuff like that. They also double. So everything is sort of doubling in a, but all is pointing going towards that, what you talked about, is the bottleneck, even the singularity. So this year is doubling towards that basically. So and
Mm-hmm.
so on every side, and a lot of people getting together, and things like that, and doing things like organic farming and things like that, you
Mm-hmm.
know that is also doubling. you know so everything is doubling in all kinds of different ways. That's how I see this year, like, so
Wow, wow. So,
yeah.
so since we're halfway through 2024, I have been told by the angels, and then I had a guest on named Bibu Dev Misra, and we talked about the Kali Yugas. I was told by the angels that the specific sort of turning point date where there would be sort of it wouldn't be necessarily immediately apparent on that date, but that in retrospect, when we look back on the date, that we would see March 21st of 2025, the equinox next year
Yeah.
would be the marker of before that you could call the Kali Yuga, and after that would be a clearly we're moving away from it. Do you see if 2024 is a year of doubling and conflicts and we're moving towards the singularity, what
Yeah.
do you see happening in 2025, or have you looked
Yeah,
at?
2025, first, like I only speak about the year in the beginning of the year. Like usually I get the intuition
Yeah.
and energetic when we get into the year. Like I usually do that time. So, but I think 2025 will be the starter of things for people to see. Right now things are happening in a hidden way. Like a lot of people can't see the things exactly. Like it's sort of hidden that like in 2025 things will come more in the sight of masses. More mainstream, like, oh, something is happening, like when that thing happened at 20 lockdown and so like people came to know something is going on, like, right, there's the mass, that thing. So 2025 can have some sort of trigger like that, which will be massively seen, let's say, by the masses, and there's a clear clarity about that in that kind of way, so that is, yeah. But I'll wait till 2025 starts to get the feel of what is going to happen exactly.
So can I ask you a question that we didn't talk about beforehand, that's somewhat
Yeah.
related? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm very curious about your opinion about there are some people who believe that in 2025, and that the angels have told me at some point this will happen, um, that there's hidden technology, in particular, what we would call anti-gravity and free
Mhm.
energy, and there's vehicles that harness this that are commonly
Yeah.
called UFOs or UAPs, and some of them definitely are human. I think the majority of what we see are human operated vehicles, but some
Yes.
people say that there's interdimensional beings or extraterrestrials, beings from other planets, that
Yeah.
are some of these. And the angels have told me that there's a good chance that probably next year, possibly the end of this year, that some of that kind of that technology would come out, possibly in the form of some kind of last gasp, last ditch effort by these lower astral forces to do something like a faked alien invasion, as kind of like a level up from what happened in 2020, to have a similar goal of trying to control all of humanity. I don't believe it would work. Do you have any thoughts on, first of all, what UFO that phenomenon is, or if there's multiple explanations, and then
Right.
your thoughts on whether that
Right.
sort of scenario might happen?
Right. I mean, the technology for soundless flight,
Mm-hmm.
soundless and smokeless
Mm-hmm.
flight is there. It was there in Vedic text, like, there was a
Phenomenal.
text, Vaimanik Shastra is there, and using rotating electromagnetic fields with using mercury and things like that. You can make crafts like that, so, and I think they have been made, already. But again, they're not for mass consumption, and they're just all under secret stuff, like, so that is already there. So a lot of that, what people see, are those things which have been made already. And obviously there is interdimensional traffic, you know which people see as shooting stars. Also, people don't understand. People think that there's some meteor coming, you know like that's like things which are moving in between the realms, you know so that's another thing which are increasing. That activity has increased over every year. It is actually increasing, so if people look up at the sky, they'll find that that is increasing quite a lot, so there are both things, in this. As far as staging like an alien invasion thing is there, in the 1940s, they did a radio show where they said Martians have,
War of the
you
Worlds.
know, yeah, and people actually ran out from their homes, and because everything they heard on the radio was everything at the time, like that was the truth. Like what you're hearing on radio is, you know, so in this day and age, to do that, you will need much more technology, and you will need more of this sort of technology, which can create sort of holograms, holograms in the sky, those kind of things. Whether they can reach that by the next year, I'm not so sure, but there is an effort towards that. There is a work
Mhm.
going on towards that, which year exactly it's going to happen,
Yeah.
or they will actually go through with the thing, that
Mhm.
now, which it can't be said, like, like that, because that is their department, that's their decision to make, and when they're ready for all of that, and whether their preparations are like,
So
yeah, yeah.
just to
So
clarify, you see
yeah,
UFOs as both human vehicles of recreations of Vimanas or Atlantean technology or whatever, the Mercury
yeah,
vortex engines, right? Which is
yeah,
exactly what's described, by the way, for viewers of this channel. I talked with Walter Bosley about Die Glocke, the bell,
yeah,
which was this
yeah,
Nazi technology that's there's some scant
yeah,
reasonable documentation of, and I believe it real exists. And at the center of that was a form of mercury plasma that had
yeah.
counter rotating fields of
Feels
hypercharged mercury plasma.
charge. You just rotate it, that object will go up. Anytime you rotate an electromagnetic field, object is going to go up. It's a given, like, so that's so that is a very, very clear thing. I mean, that technology is there for sure,
Yeah, and
so
so
yeah,
you're saying that a fair amount, if not the majority, of what people call UFOs, where they see something go and
yeah,
possible angles with basic airplanes, right? You're
yeah.
saying that a lot of it is human tech, and then do you say all the rest of it is interdimensional, or do you
I
believe?
mean, but that, I won't call it human tech. It's still Patal tech. Every tech which is there on Earth right now, every tech, including this computer, including is come from Patal. It's not human made. Okay, humans have just been given these things in the last 200, 300 years. That's all. Like, it's not humans. They just didn't wake up one day and started like making
So
these.
it's from demonic or lower astral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's from Patal Lok only. I call it Patal technology. All of the technology, like on Earth, it is. Um, so it has been downloaded here, and that's why West had secret societies, which were there for this download, and then through those secret societies, only tech has come on Earth. You know, so it's a very,
Interesting, because that then dovetails into, I forget what the name was, but someone who was involved pretty high up in the Nazis at the end of after World War II, when people were asking how did the Nazis make so many incredible leaps in technologies, he said we had help, and he didn't really qualify where that help was from. But if you look, there's things called like the Vril Society, the Thule Society, and the Anarabi Society, and uh, there was
yeah,
Marina Orsic, who had super long hair, and a couple of other women, and supposedly these women were channeling information
yeah,
they then gave to
yes,
the
yes.
engineers.
Yes, if you use just common sense and logic, even, like if there's a villager in a village, like living in any part of the world, or like tribal people or any people, they don't just get technology. Like they stay in the same way for thousands of years. Like even if somebody in Amazon rainforest living in a certain kind of way for the last, they suddenly don't improve upon their technology. They're still using bows and arrows and whatever they use. I mean, they're not going to suddenly have like a steam engine or even, I mean, they won't know how to go about making that. For that, you need know a lot of information on alloys, how to get minerals and how to put them into that form. You need so much information, like, which is basically like do this, do this, do the steps. Humans need steps, like, okay, put this into this, put this, do this, do this, do this, and this will happen. You don't know why this will happen, but this will happen. So all tech processes are like that, basically. So it is definitely a given thing. It's not something which humans dream up of, or in their minds.
So you said you said that all tech on Earth is Patal tech. What about
Yeah,
like Vimanas are from like what appear according to Bibu Dev Mizra is kind of the end of the silver age of Trade Yugas from
yeah. So I mean,
and
like, where does Patal get its tech from? Patal also gets its tech from rishis. Okay, so there are beings called rishis who know like in Vedic things, they're called rishis. Rishis can be in higher dimensions, who have an understanding of how universe functions. They have much more understanding of the way universe functions. So they can obviously make tech. So even Patal gets its text from those beings by, so it is also getting it from them. So, and then rishis will not be giving it to earth humans directly, but Patal beings are ready to give it to humans. So for certain, you know, that they get a foot in into earth, and they get to, so now because of giving that, like, they have had a more easy control over Earth, you know. So, for example, right now we have Ethernet, right? So why is it called Ethernet? Internet cables and stuff, they're called Ethernet. That means internet has something to do with ether. Okay, so if information is going, internet is going to Ethernet also. And Ethernet, with the Ethernet, the information can go to Patal also. So I'm just going to leave it at that so that people can make up connect the dots and, you know.
Wow. So you're saying the Ethernet allows a connection to the lower astral or Patal?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting. So let me ask you kind of a related question, and this is again not was not on the script. Um, there are some people who say that, like, if you look at some of the demonic sigils for the in the Goetia, they look very similar to circuit boards
yes.
which we have in computers. Like if you
Yeah.
go and I don't recommend any viewer to do this, but I'm just saying it's true. The Goetia, also called the Lesser Key of Solomon, is about dealing with the opposite of the 72 angels that I work with and that I teach people about. They have a
Mhm.
shadow version, and it's these 72 named demons. And that book is called the Goetia. And in that, they have sigils for these demons. And some of them look almost exactly like a circuit board that you would see in a computer. And
Yes.
I had a guest on quite a while ago who's a Western esotericist and occultist, and I'm not sure what I think about him from an ethics or morality point of view. I'm not saying one way or the other, but he said that through technology, spirits can interact with this world, and in particular, anytime you're dealing with a screen of any kind, but also through
Yes.
computers. And I asked him, there's some people who say that as computers get more complex, certain beings, astral beings, are able to push their personality or will or consciousness through those computers into our world. And so some people say that these super advanced computers will have deities or astral beings of different kinds kind of like possess them.
Locked into them, yeah, locked into, yeah, but that happens to only like computers which are at a quantum level and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, in the beginning, like when there's a technology called cathode
To
ray, like, tube, CRT. Now that cathode ray tube had a glow, and there was a screen which formed, which became later television. Okay, like that was the beginning of television and stuff. So CRT was used to connect with beings where they could write whatever the information they wanted to, would just come on writing on the cathode ray. So it was easy to connect. That's why it was made in the first place, that CRT thing. Later it became television and things like that.
it was used to communicate with the astral.
Yeah, yeah, obviously, because in whatever language you understand, they will give you the, like, that thing, how to make more technology, like, because what you want to know is like how to put things. There's matter on this earth, different minerals, different things. Now, how to convert that into, like, like, there is, I mean, when a normal person sees sand, they don't think the sand can turn into computer, right? Like they look at sand, they don't think like, how can this turn into that, right? Like, so there is a process. So people want to know those processes, right? So then those processes have to be told to humans.
Mhm.
This is how you turn silica and germanium into motherboards. And if you look at the motherboards and stuff, from that thing in a computer, like on a laptop, you'll see the Temple of Solomon kind of configurations happening
Mm.
on them with the motherboard, and and things like that. So that is all like, it's not all non-human. All of it, it's always been, so because human beings are not designed to make tech. This they're not being given a mind which can come up with these things. It's not, it's never been like that, you know
So
so
if there's a destructive
yeah,
like Patal lock tech, is there
yeah.
also in the higher yugas, is there celestial tech that then we would use, or will we be technology free?
But, yeah, I mean, there can be technology which comes from higher planes.
Hmm.
It's only accessible to those who deserve it.
Mm.
So you have to qualify for that tech.
Yeah.
And you know, right now anything can be given to anybody, like a big knife.
Yeah.
given to a like a 6 month year old, like 6 month child, like, it will just cut itself with it, So, I mean, even right now, like even this tech, we can't call it destructive because using this, we are talking and this kind of information is getting out to people, right? Like, so it can be used, it's just neutral,
Yeah.
basically. Tech is always neutral.
Yeah.
Let's just say, like, it's like how it is going to be used. Like, what are you going to do with it? Right now, like, we have this podcast and this talk, and then this kind of information is getting out, and there are millions of other things which are spreading all kinds of other things on the internet using the same tech, you know. So that is the thing. So, like, what is it going to be used for? So, so that's
So when you talk about the celestial tech or the tech from the higher levels, are you talking about like Patanjali and the Yoga Sutras and like
Yeah, and they will have tech which will not disturb the earth because they don't want to disturb Earth's dynamics in any way.
right,
This tech doesn't care about whether it pollutes the earth or what happens, or
right.
they have no care about what happens to the ley lines, what happens to the Earth's magnetic grid or Earth's electromagnetic ley lines or whatever. They just don't care about that,
Mhm.
in this, so that's a negative aspect of this, tech. And on top of that, they don't have any kind of that thing that who should be given what, that you have to qualify for something. Because with everything comes responsibility.
Right.
Handling any kind of power in the universe requires responsibility. And a person has to have that level of psychological sorting in order to use that,
So
so
in in Patanjali's book, the Yoga Sutras,
yeah.
it those all those cities or powers are merit based and consciousness based. You have to reach a
Base, yeah.
quite high level of consciousness before you can even
Yes.
access them. And then you kind of have a choice. Do I
Yeah.
become enlightened and leave that behind, or do I
Yeah.
use it? And if you use it, you're very likely to like start coming back down. If you start,
Or you can use it for good also, but you have to be very clear about the whole thing. What is the effect? What am I achieving by that? How many beings will this benefit? In what way? And like, there's a whole sense of responsibility.
yes,
You know,
yeah,
just like right now, if somebody's a celebrity in the today's world, and all people listen to them, okay, and so whenever they say something, so then it's their responsibility to say the right thing, because then their karma will be much heavier, because whenever they say something, a lot of people go in that direction. So being a celebrity creates a more heavy karma for yourself, like in this realm. Like, so it is the same way, like you come into a position of responsibility through that, which people don't realize that means that, because they're not trained in that way
yeah.
to understand things in that kind of direction. So like, so it's easier to be a common man in Kali Yuga right now, because you don't have that kind of reach and responsibility, more reach and responsibility than 20 million followers, 30 million followers. Then every time you say something, you know, you are getting a whole lot of thing from the universe as a whole, like,
Good
karma one way or the other.
or negative, depending.
Yeah, both ways. Yeah. And
So the celestial technology, though, I guess what I want to know is it based on like sort of magical or psychic abilities where you can manipulate reality using the human body, or is it going to be, or will there be external technology? Like we have legends that, for example, in Atlantis, they used a lot of technology based on crystals, and Atlantis is often considered in the West, and you may not agree, and that's fine, but that was during a golden age of Sat Yuga. And
yeah.
it seems like they had external technology, but are you saying it'll be all internal technology that changes
I mean,
reality?
see, on Earth plane is designed as such. Earth plane is designed as such that you always need external technology
Ah,
if you have to have.
okay.
Okay, it's not like heaven, which is internally designed like that. In heaven, you can just go like this and you get a screen, just like this, and you get a screen
Yeah.
without, you just get your fingers like that. But it is designed like that. On Earth, you can't do that. You can't go like that and get a screen. You know, so Earth by itself will always require some sort of mixing of elements
Okay.
and different forces, elemental forces, and things like that to create something. You
Mm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
punch mahboots and all the other different things to create things. They'll there is a different way the realms are designed. You
Mm.
know, so Earth realm is designed in a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Which has limitations. Earth has all limitations.
Yeah.
So you have to work within those limitations. But even if they make something, in Vedic time, like I said, like when they make a plane, it'll be soundless and smokeless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not going to be this like jet making this horrible noise and you know this kind of thing. So it's and it'll somehow be using Earth's energies it will flow along with it, not against it,
Harmonious, yeah.
harmoniously.
Yeah.
So that's a difference. It's a difference in attitude and approach, like of what you're trying to create, like. So
Beautiful. Well, Prashant, I'm gonna have to definitely have you on, but I think this is probably a good place to wrap things up to keep it fairly
yeah,
tight.
yeah, yeah.
Where first of all, what would be your advice to viewers of this channel on what they can do to help end this age of ignorance? And then also where can we find your work? But let's start with what would be your like kind of closing thoughts on what people can do? What's the best thing that people can do to help? I think a lot of people, they find this channel and they want to know, okay, this channel
Yeah.
isn't about just talking about the problems. I do talk about history and some of the
Yeah,
problems and the conspiracies or whatever, but I always
yeah,
talk about that's great and you need that context. A lot of people need that context because a lot of people are just waking up right now. But once you are have woken up to there's sinister forces and trying to repress human consciousness, what's the antidote to that? What action can we take so people are empowered and feel like they can take action in
okay.
their individual life?
Okay, so the practical things about what to do. I mean, I have a channel called PD Speaks on YouTube called PD Speaks. So there's a playlist called Real Solution to All Problems.
Mm.
Okay, so there can be a link. I'll send you the link. You can give that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's a website called lotusocean.net where there are meditations, for people who want to so first they can go through that playlist and understand what the basics are, and the things, and then application is like meditation, things like that. So there are different teachers all over the world, you know and they can contact them, the teachers, so and learn directly from them, online. This is possible right now. People can, like, no matter where you are, you can so people can start putting those things into practice in their own
Okay.
life, so to prepare for the coming, the bottleneck, so so
Beautiful. I love that. And
yeah.
so, Prashant, people can find you on PT Speaks, and I'm going to have all these links below, but sometimes it's
Yeah, my main, there's a website called lotusocean.net. You can yeah, you can have a link for that, and so
and that has
so
all your
that's.
videos and
Yeah,
links to
and
all
yeah,
your
it's comprehensive, like, in that way. So
beautiful.
so
Okay.
yeah,
Well, thank you. I'm gonna we'll go ahead and end here. I'll stop the video and then we can talk for a minute afterwards. But if
yeah,
you got this far, please hit like and subscribe. And I'm gonna have Prashant on again. Probably maybe not as soon as I can have him, but pretty soon. Because it's been an amazing, mind-blowing talk for me. Also, anyone who's interested, I am doing introductory Vedic astrology classes in July 10th. And then for people who are interested in Angelic Magick, I have classes open right now for July 11th, so we can start to explore how we can integrate our shadow, heal our trauma, and start attracting to us better circumstances by working through our own self-limiting beliefs. And so if you're interested in any of that, please go to whitelotusoflight.com and you'll be able to find links for the classes there. And Prashant, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you viewers for watching, and we'll
yes.
catch you next time. All right, bye-bye.